Well, Dennis, Western Washington is about to experience a whole new mess, mudslides. The soaked soil just can't hold it.
Let's take you now to Tuesday, December 31st. The force of nature bears down on Western Washington, sending some homes sliding right into the water.
I hear this is the fourth load of sand that they brought in. Everyone's been nonstop out here helping out.
For others, the battle is against rising floodwaters that threaten to overrun their homes and their communities. Still, others come home to survey the damage left behind by this powerful holiday blast.
And on Camano Island, mudslides destroyed 6 homes this morning, washing 2 right into the water.
Miraculously, no one was hurt. And as King 5's Glenn Farley reports tonight, that was just the start of it.
What strikes you about mudslides is their randomness. After sitting below this bluff for decades, this beach house, appearing to be at least 50 years old, now sits in the waters of Saratoga Passage, pushed into the sea by the mud and trees. And then there's the story of Catherine Snyder, who escaped her home unscathed.
Actually, I was still in bed, and I started hearing some rumblings coming down. I got dressed quickly, and as I was finished dressing, the entire wall came down to the cabin right next to me.
At Lorraine and Jack McKinnon's house, a smaller mudslide drove their shed across the road, partially buried their camper van.
We were sitting eating dinner, and we heard what sounded like a thunderbolt. It was real loud, and it shook the whole house.
This is another problem they're having around here. Big chunks of melting snow and ice like this in the water here. I'm standing in the middle of Meadow Lake Drive, and they're having so many difficulties here just within the past couple of hours. You see that light post over there. When we were here at noon today, just 5 feet beyond that is a car. But we could see the roof a few hours ago. It's gone. The water here is rising.
Got it? Roll, Michael. Ready? Yeah.
Inside, furniture is moved to the upper floor.
Good job. Go through.
As the weary homeowners realize the water probably can't be stopped.
Even though it's just stuff, this is my whole life.
It's as if the water just keeps on coming.
No matter what you do, no matter how many sandbags you fill, no matter how many people you bring over, it just gets deeper.
A front loader is depositing sandbags at threatened homes to surround them with a wall of protection. A pump is draining the water from the street, but the sewer system is at capacity.
Well, right now we want to go to King 5's Carrie Kazarba, who's live in Magnolia, where the ground is giving way for some folks and major evacuations are underway. Carrie.
Well, that's right. The rain is coming down pretty hard out here right now, which makes for a very dangerous situation for the people who live on Perkins Lane below this bluff on Magnolia. So right now, police are evacuating about 6 blocks of Perkins Lane right now. You can see that the fallout of melting snow and ice already knocked one house off its foundation. Now, we spoke to the owner of this house, and he says that he walked inside and he could feel the entire house tilting on its foundation. Terry, what did you see when you went inside?
Well, I walked inside and it was kind of an odd feeling because everything was just tilted a little bit, and just it gave me a very, very strange feeling. I just turned around and walked out of the house.
Well, just long enough to clear the way for this Space Needle fireworks coming up.
Yeah, the weather took a break on New Year's Eve and the fireworks went off. But as the show went on, Mother Nature was getting her own fireworks ready for the next day. January 1st, 1997, and there's good news and bad news as the new year begins.
We got back and a tree crashed, and then the guardrail went, so we called 911.
Western Washington roadways are no match for the mixture of heavy snow and rain. One intersection collapses under pressure. The ground also gives way under a Burlington Northern train, sending cars flying off the tracks. The frustration level is rising all around.
We've got a train derailment on the back, a mudslide down here, our barn's down. It's been a heck of a week.
It's difficult to imagine how that much dirt and roadway could suddenly disappear. But witnesses say it began slowly after heavy rain started to fall.
It was just bubbling like a gush, like a geyser coming up out of the ground, like a just bubbling, real soft. And we just kind of realized we better get back. And the next thing we know, a tree, just a maple tree, crashed into the culvert. And then it just started to wash away.
Through the night, the ground just kept eroding away until gas lines broke, sewer lines snapped, and power lines went down. A parked car now lies at the bottom of this newly made ravine.
This hillside is still moving. The city engineering department is telling us that there are more than 40 mudslides in the Seattle area, and hundreds of people are being told to leave their homes. As this Magnolia Hill slides and continues to give way, more than 18 homes have been evacuated. There are mudslides all across the city. On Lakeview Boulevard East off I-5, you're driving along when suddenly there's no more road, just mud and tree limbs. In the Montlake neighborhood on East Boston Terrace, more mudslides. Take a look off this bridge. I want to give you an idea how much mud has slid down this hill in just the past couple days. Now, if you're wondering where some of that mud came from, well, it came from Ed Weinstein's house over here. His front yard basically disappeared. You can see his landscaping, his trees, all down here, his concrete driveway resting on pilings, and over here, his front door with absolutely no way to get to it.
Oh, I was absolutely heartbroken. I was stunned. I was walking around and unable to talk. It was my worst nightmare come true.
On Dexter Avenue, just south of Fremont, the city has evacuated this apartment building and another one next door. If you can't see why, just look at the buildings from the back. Cheryl France is thankful she just got renter's insurance and is thinking about where she goes from here.
I'm not sure if I'll go for the view next time.
If you need to get over the mountains, you are finally in luck tonight.
Well, this is the day stranded drivers have been waiting for since 3 o'clock Sunday morning when Snoqualmie Pass closed. Now take a look behind me and you'll see that these cars are among the first to make it over the pass today. A flood of truckers and drivers pour out of North Bend, anxious to get on the road after 4 days of waiting.
What have you been doing?
Watching TV, reading a book, doing paperwork, even scrubbed the floor of my truck.
A sign warns drivers to slow down because melting snow and pouring rain are creating deep puddles on the highway. Also, watch out for lanes that suddenly disappear. I-90 narrows to only 2 lanes in some spots.
And I got a phone call about 11 o'clock last night that said your pump island is being submerged.
Flooding from snow melt and rain turned a little sinkhole into a big problem. This service station is going down, and it's just one of thousands of trouble spots caused by the holiday blast. Water is receding in a heavily flooded Linwood neighborhood, but only slightly.
Today, for the first time since the water crept in, some residents returned to their homes to assess the damage. King 5's Chris Ingalls has the story.
It's an eerie sight. Water surrounding homes in a Linwood suburb. The only way in is by boat. Hiram E. is visiting the hardest hit house in the neighborhood, her parents.
They weren't going to leave. I mean, we had to force them to leave. And, you know, they're just devastated. You know, my mom's just been hysterical.
The bottom floor is so flooded, no one can get in. Debris is floating near the ceiling.
Destruction. I mean, everything's gone. Everything you own is just ruined and just, you know, it's just sad.
This is only one of more than a half dozen homes flooded on Meadowdale Drive. Since the weekend, the low-lying neighborhood has been hammered by rain and runoff from higher elevations. Storm drains are overwhelmed. Raw sewage is running into the streets.
People like BJ here and his paddle boat have been ferrying residents back and forth to their flooded homes. With the weather as unpredictable as it's been here, no one's sure how long it will take to dry out. In Linwood, Chris Ingalls, King 5 News.
Think of all the people besides paddle boat operators in high demand: insurance adjusters, meteorologists, contractors.
I tell you, every day brought new pictures, and just when you thought that you had seen everything, the unthinkable happens.
Okay, now we take you to Thursday, January 2nd. Breaking news just as we go on the air.
Governor Lowry surveys damage from the holiday blast as crews clear a path, shoving away tons of debris. In Jefferson County, part of a highway is no more, ripped apart by a massive mudslide. One worker is injured as others teeter on the edge.
As it came down, we just heard a rumbling noise.
Seattle residents scramble to safety after new slides threaten homes in Magnolia. Meantime, a garage crumbles near Lake City. But we are not the only ones having problems. This is the scene near Reno where Mother Nature has run wild. It's our top story tonight.
But we are beginning tonight with breaking news. Seattle's Magnolia Bridge has apparently sustained serious structural damage.
King 5's Chris Engels is live along the bluff with that.
Magnolia has really taken some hits from this storm. The latest one came about half an hour ago. Look at this video that we shot of a landslide. It actually ran through the Magnolia Bridge. There are some struts knocked out there. You can see an entire backyard is gone, and the Magnolia Bridge has been closed down while firefighters and city officials determine exactly what the problem is here. We were back in a backyard here near the Magnolia Bridge, and firefighters said, we got to get out of here because the ground is too unstable. They're worried that more could give way. The Magnolia Bridge is completely shut down.
We've shown you the pictures from the ground. We want to show you the perspective from the air. This problem is on the east side of the Magnolia Bridge. So we're looking eastbound now. Look at the houses up there on the hill. Now go down the hill. We'll get our searchlight here and look at what has happened here. A mudslide has washed out some of the supports underneath the Magnolia Bridge. This happened, probably about an hour ago now, and they have definitely closed off the Magnolia Bridge. They're worried that this is definitely dangerous for cars and for pedestrians on the bridge, so it is now shut off.
Tonight, crews lowered concrete barriers to seal the Magnolia Bridge from traffic. The reason is obvious if you look underneath. The steel bridge supports are twisted and broken, victims of a massive Magnolia mudslide.
I heard it from my office, and I looked out, and these trees were going by, and I ran up here, and I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was just absolutely incredible.
Magnolia homeowners are in shock as they watch police evacuate their neighborhood. 83-year-old Betty Canada was inside her home with her grandson when they heard a terrible noise.
It sounded like a crash on the bridge. I looked out, and we have a bank with some trees on it, and they just disappeared.
The Magnolia Bridge is not the only key transportation link out of commission tonight.
A crucial bridge in Bremerton is also shut down. King 5's Alyssa Hahn joins us with a live report from there. Alyssa.
Susanna, I'm standing in front of the Warren Avenue Bridge. It is the main arterial between Bremerton and East Bremerton. Just to give you an idea, over 39,000 vehicles use it every day. But around 3 o'clock this afternoon, the DOT shut it down. The problem was with one of the supporting piers on the Warren Bridge. Department of Transportation officials noticed it was eroding from water and debris running down the side. The damage was bad enough to shut it down indefinitely.
This is where all the fire trucks cross. This is where the first aid vehicles would cross.
We've all heard of lakefront property.
Well, how would you like the lake in your living room? That's exactly what's happening with Lake Ballinger in Snohomish County. King 5's Glenn Farley with the soggy details.
It's the oven. No.
And this is the refrigerator.
What's left? A little turkey left over.
John Greenway enjoys his home and the view from this house on the south end of the lake. But Lake Ballinger has gotten a little bigger these days.
Just a combination of the snow runoff and that big, and then all the rain that came in after that. Just a combination of the two just resulted in a big time flood.
24 hours ago, there were an estimated 3 million cubic feet of water in this area. The spot I'm standing on was 30 to 40 feet under the surface. The clogged culvert was down this way, another 20 feet or so. At about 6:30 last night, there was just too much pressure. It cut loose.
And this is what it looks like today from the air and from the ground. A huge chasm, perhaps 100 feet deep, 100 yards across. It's a wet, shifting mess of mud and downed trees. A dangerous spot.
And a lot of those amazing images seen countrywide, nationwide, because the national broadcast either led with the story or had it played up very high in their broadcasts.
Too much snow, too much rain, and now too much mud. So get a pencil and paper ready because we're going to show you how to get a videotape of this King 5 News special report.
And late updates on a house on a collision course with Interstate 5. Plus, what's the outlook for the damaged Magnolia Bridge?
Stay with us at this King 5 special report, Holiday Blast, Remembering Nature's Fury. We roll along. On this Friday, January 3rd, the Holiday Blast continues to affect lives here in Western Washington. And here is the latest trouble spot. One of 3 houses on the hillside near I-5 is sliding. And if this keeps up, it could hit the freeway. The scene near the Lakeview Boulevard off-ramp is being closely watched tonight.
Here's a live picture from the scene. The house on the end has moved 3 feet since last night. It is still moving a 1/4 inch an hour. The families inside have evacuated the area. We are closely watching the situation, and we'll have the latest information tonight on King 5 News at 11.
So what about Seattle's Magnolia Bridge? Still closed, no word when it will reopen. Engineers and geologists are trying to determine the extent of the damage from last night's big mudslide, which took several metal bracings and a concrete beam.
I'm not going to ask anybody to go over that bridge until the engineers tell me you can go over that bridge.
The slide destroyed a house below the bridge and is presenting a serious threat to at least 3 houses above it. A half dozen more have been evacuated because of the danger. And while the Magnolia Bridge is closed at the west end leading to Magnolia, it is open for access to the Elliott Bay Marina and to the restaurants there. A couple of words of wisdom that I'm sure people know by now. Call your insurance adjuster and make your claim. You'll probably be on a long, long list, but get your order in early.
Yeah, and I think what strikes me about what has happened over the past couple of days, the extraordinary patience shown by Western Washingtonians in the light of the extraordinary damage that many of them see.
There's no question about that. And be patient with your roofs, folks. Don't go up there and clean it yourself if you risk falling off. It's just too dangerous to do. We want to thank you for being with us for a special report tonight.
And we also thank our colleagues, the men and women of King 5 News. Their extraordinary efforts and dedication made the great coverage that you've seen tonight possible.
We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.